Hey guys, I'm Heather, and I'm the oldest. She's the emotional one.
Is it Bruce Dickinson?
Man, why? I mean, like, you hadn't even read the list. You're like, Heather.
Hey guys, I'm Ben. I'm the middle child.
And he's the practical one.
What I need you to understand is that you have lost all credibility when we get to the cutting stage.
Why?
Kenny Chesney was your second pick.
I'm Beth, and I'm the baby.
She's also the swing vote.
My picks are great. And if you don't believe it, just ask me. I won't argue with you because I'm mature.
Together, we make the Music List podcast. And welcome back to the Music List podcast. My name is Ben. With me are my sisters, Heather and Beth. We are siblings that argue while making music lists. That's the shtick. That's what we do. Before we get started, I have a feeling argumentation will occur this episode. Want to remind you first, if you haven't followed us on social media, you need to do that. We are on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube. Find us, subscribe, share with your buddies. And if you don't have buddies, you need to get some buddies and then share with them. Now, this episode has been a long time coming.
Since season one.
Since season one. This, we're going to do the very best of Van Halen songs.
Finally, some respect.
This whole Van Halen drama started with our best frontman episode.
Yep.
You may have remembered in the opening song thing, what do we call opening credits thing?
Yeah.
Where is it Bruce Dickinson? It's because we chose to be in our top 5 best frontmen of all time. It came down to Bruce Dickinson and David Lee Roth. Mm-hmm. And Heather was big freaking mad
I was.
that Bruce Dickinson got in over David Lee Roth. And then she has not appreciated some of the things I've said about Eddie Van Halen.
I've not appreciated that Van Halen didn't make it into the greatest American rock
right,
bands.
They were number 6.
Always a bridesmaid. So stupid.
And so this one has been...
So to rub salt in the wound, Ben said, let's do
a Van Halen one.
Ugh.
And so here we go. I'm excited. I'm excited just because I'm probably going to poke the bear a little bit. All that aside, I do have to give Van Halen all the props in the world, or at least 6 in the United States. And
We should have had video for that.
they really... here's the thing. The dirty little secret is I enjoy Van Halen for what they are.
And what is that?
I think they're a party band. I think they're a good time, fun time, and party band. And we'll talk about this, I'm sure, until the Sammy Hagar years. And I know that a lot of people don't like Van Hagar. I get it. And we'll talk, I'm sure, about it. Because surely there'll be some Van Hagar songs selected. Like it or don't like it, they got a lot more diverse when he joined. There were, like, I'm trying to think, maybe literally 0 ballads during the David Lee Roth years. And when Sammy Hagar comes to town, at least they're able to add those to their repertoire. We even had French words when Sammy Hagar comes. Repertoire.
Oh, man.
But I do enjoy Van Halen. I give him a lot of heck, mostly because I know it gets on Heather's nerves.
I know.
But Heather, I would love for you to share with us a little bit about Van Halen,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
to Heather's TED Talk.
Yes. Which, I mean, like, Van Halen isn't even my favorite band, but now I feel like I have to, like, champion them. Lord. I do like Van Halen, though. So, a little backstory. Formed in Pasadena, California in 1973, they are credited with restoring hard rock to the music scene. I say that because when their debut album dropped in 1978, the Bee Gees' Night Fever was at the top of the chart. So Van Halen's debut album was a marked departure from the Bee Gees. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on the Bee Gees.
And if you haven't listened to our Bee Gees episode.
Yes, we do have one of those as well. Yes. They were inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2007. Their debut self-titled album sold over 10 million copies worldwide, certified diamond. The next 4 albums are all certified multi-platinum. And 1984 had U.S. sales of 10 million. David Lee Roth left in 1985, replaced, like Ben said, by Sammy Hagar. With Sammy Hagar, they released 4 U.S. #1 multi-platinum albums. So, not to, I'll just come out from the beginning. I am very much a David Lee Roth era fan, more than Sammy Hagar, which those reasons will be detailed later, I'm sure. Hagar left in 1996, and he was replaced with Extreme's Gary Sharon in 98, left in 99. We don't talk about those years very much. Hagar came back, left again in 2005, and David Lee Roth returned in 2006. But Michael Anthony, the bass player, was replaced by Wolfgang Van Halen at that time. Van Halen is 20th on the, let me get this exactly right. It's the recording industry, but it is the Recording Industry Association of America. It is 20th on their list of best-selling artists in the U.S., 58 million in U.S. sales and 80 million worldwide, which makes Van Halen one of the best-selling groups of all time. As of 2007, Van Halen was one of only 5 rock bands with 2 studio albums to sell more than 10 million copies in the U.S. And that's tied for most multi-platinum albums by an American band. 13 #1s. Van Halen was named VH1's 7th. They were 7th on VH1's 100 Greatest Hard Rock Artists. Eddie Van Halen died of cancer on October 6, 2020, which, of course, his illness and death brought everything to a screeching halt. Eddie learned classical piano by ear and actually won an annual recital contest 3 years running, and he couldn't read music. So, pretty good ear. Fun fact.
It's time for a fun fact. Fun fact. Ew.
Eddie invited, after David Lee Roth left, he invited Patti Smythe of Scandal, which you may, their biggest hit, of course, was Shooting Out the Walls of Heartache. Bang, bang. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your Eyes Touch Me Physically.
Worst lyric ever.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Patti Smythe of Scandal, she declined. Daryl Hall was also invited to replace David Lee Roth, and he declined.
That.
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
I don't see that working, but so Eddie's influence is undeniable. He's inspired a generation of guitar virtuosos that includes Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Yngwie Malmsteen. He's experimented with guitars, amps. His Frankenstrat is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen had that dynamic duo thing going for a long time. You know, Roth was over the top, charismatic, high kicking frontman, and Eddie was reinventing guitar playing. He didn't just build on the blues based legends like Page and Clapton and Hendrix. He made a new language, a new sound. He idolized those players, and he says that he learned all of Clapton's solos, but then he made his own sound, and he's responsible largely, I think, for a lot of the shredders out there. The hair bands owe a lot of their success to Eddie Van Halen. Each song or band that came after them had to have a lead guitarist that had chops, that could put a solo in there. Of course, grunge killed that. So David Lee Roth versus Sammy, which I'm sure we will talk about, both had their strengths and weaknesses. In my opinion, I think that David Lee Roth's, vocals were bluesy, they were raw, they were sexy. And Sammy Hagar, when he came along, they had a much more polished, sleeker, finely tuned songwriting style and recording style. And there's no doubt that the Sammy Hagar years were full of great music. It's very different than how they started. So they evolved, and I think that's important. I think that's what made them relevant up until the time that Eddie died. And of course, Wolfgang is a great addition to the group. I mean, he is ridiculously talented. He can play those solos almost just like his dad. But Michael Anthony was so crucial to that, especially that early sound. Those harmonies that he added are uniquely Van Halen. And of course, he and Alex set up this rhythm section that was just strong and bombastic, and just from the beginning really drove that sound. I would like to point out again that they were named 7th on the 100 greatest hard rock artists and tied for most platinum artists by an American band. And the fact that we did not put them in our top 5 is a travesty. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Well, they didn't make the top 5 in that one either, did they?
Of 100, not 9.
And if you're a reader, there's a book called Nothing But a Good Time, the uncensored history of the 80s hard rock explosion.
I just got that book for my birthday. I haven't read it yet. I'm excited.
It's fascinating. It's actually written like, it's not in a traditional kind of a prose way. It takes little sections of people who were in different bands at the time, and this person will have a paragraph and then something else that somebody had said in interviews, and they kind of piece it together to create more or less a linear history of mostly what was happening on the Sunset Strip in the 80s. And it's a fascinating read. It's amazing to hear the artists that were in these glam rock bands talk about the history of their own band. Well, and I'm going to say something nice about Van Halen here. I'm getting to that. Is they, all of them, to a T, remember and idolized Van Halen on the Sunset Strip. And so, and the book is written by Tom Beaujour and Richard Breinstock, by the way, if you're wanting to pick that up I don't know, Barnes and Noble or whatever. But when you think about the bands that were influenced, Guns N' Roses, L.A. Guns, which obviously half of that then becomes Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
We're talking Motley Crue. We're talking Rat. We're talking Poison. We're talking Dokken. We're talking Warrant. We're talking Wasp. We're talking Stryper, Faster Pussycat. I mean, all these bands that essentially created the glam rock genre of the 80s were really building off of what Van Halen was doing in the late 70s and in the early 80s. And so that whole genre exists because of Van Halen, ultimately. Because all these bands point to Eddie Van Halen as a guitar player, and they point to Dave as what they wanted to be in a frontman.
Yeah.
Now, what did we get out of frontmen out of the 80s? Some of the singing was excellent, but some of it was not. But they were all charismatic guys wearing tight pants. A lot of them wore makeup.
Yeah.
And there was some athleticism and showmanship. The showmanship was a huge part of what they did. You know, and so, you know, because of Dave, we get Vince Neil.
Wait. Hold on.
Oh, well.
You know.
Well,
Yep. Okay.
I mean,
Now, I like Motley Crue too. I like them a lot. But my point is that we oftentimes, and we've had the debate about Jimi Hendrix versus Eddie Van Halen and their influence. And Mark's right. I mean, the further back you go, the more influence they have. I mean, we can go back to Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
As, you know, probably the most influential guitar player of all time. But over the period of a decade, Eddie Van Halen's influence on guitar playing in rock and roll may be untouched as far as that probably 78 to 92 period. Every guitar player that was on MTV wanted to be Eddie Van Halen. Deep down. Now, I've got my misgivings about he is a virtuoso. But what I've always said about Eddie is I don't feel anything, you know, and I think it's because I really prefer bluesy, emotional guitar. Like, I like bends and slides and stuff like that. And what Eddie really does better maybe than anybody in history are the hammer-ons and hammer-offs on the fretboard. I mean, he may be the best to ever do that. And you can't really slide doing that. You know, that's just not it. But anyway, I don't think that their influence over particularly 80s rock, metal can be understated. That said, let's get to work. So, the draft order, wouldn't you know it, Heather drafts first. Beth drafts second. I draft third. If it's your first time listening to the music list, we're going to snake draft, which means in the second round, I will draft first. Heather will draft last. Beth's always in the middle. And then in round 3, we'll reverse it again. Heather will draft first. I'll draft last. That'll give us 9 picks, and then we'll try to cut those 9 down to 5, and then we'll try to rank those 5. So, without any further ado, that's another French word. We are rocking the French words in this episode. Heather, you get the first pick.
okay. 1978. One of the strongest debuts in rock and roll, I will say. Running with the Devil. this was called by VH1 the 9th greatest hard rock song of all time. So it's a pretty salty place there. Eruption was the B-side of this single. The song begins with all of their car horns attached to a foot switch, and those are actually their vehicles, and they kind of run it through. I don't know what I don't know how that happens, but anyway, they hooked all their car horns together, and Rolling Stone calls this number 68 on the 100 greatest heavy metal songs of all time. All 4 of the members have writing credits here. Michael Anthony is listed first. I don't know if that means that he had the biggest chunk of it. I don't know. Like I said before, the Bee Gees' Night Fever was number 1 when this was released. So quite a game changer to these giant guitar sounds and these just big plodding rhythm sections. Their first demo of this was actually produced in 1976 by Gene Simmons. But that's obviously not the version you hear here. But the rhythm section is so strong, and Eddie's little mini solos, Michael Anthony's harmonies, David Lee Roth's vocals, and I mean, here's the thing about his vocals. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that David Lee Roth is the best metal vocalist of all time. However, he might be the best performer. You talk about committing to a sound and to a vocal. He doesn't half-ass anything. He goes in there and he almost has kind of that vaudeville, performer type attitude. I mean, it's just so over the top all the time, but it works. For me, it has all the makings of a nearly perfect hard rock song. It's not satanic. The devil is a metaphor for chasing the fast life. It's not. You're not actually in league with Satan.
That's what they want you to think.
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
Right. Right. So, this, like we talked on the last episode, you just kind of grab that number 1 for yourself out of, it's easy. It comes quick. This is by far my favorite Van Halen song.
It's a good pick. Made my top 9. Won't tell you where.
Okay.
Beth, second pick.
Okay. My first pick is from 1991, Right Now. So, Sammy Hagar sounds like a completely different band. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the piano intro on this is a jiggity jam. I love the beginning of this song. But I was like, well, I couldn't really, without us sitting here for like 5 minutes, I couldn't really get the intro and that. So, if you're not familiar with the intro to this one, go get that in your life. I love rock piano though; it's so dramatic. So the theme of this, like the it's about living in the moment. Don't be afraid to make a change, and so like some of the lyrics, like talking about You work so hard to make it easy. I think lyrically, the difference between the Sammy Hagar years and the David Lee Roth years it's like light years difference between content and depth, maybe. So obviously you still get sick guitar solos. I prefer the vocal from Sammy Hagar. David Lee Roth's vibrato sometimes is like a mile between notes. It's kind of ridiculous. I love David Lee Roth as a frontman. I really, honestly, I'm going to admit it right now. It's my fault. We should have put him in. I'll say it. He should have made it into the frontman, but I was swayed. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember how it happened. Because I had David Lee Roth like at number 1 on my list. I don't know how you pulled that off, Ben. But like props to you.
No, absolutely not.
But
I can tell you how it happened.
how?
We went through and we
No,
said,
It was the chart.
We as a group determined, I don't remember exactly how we ranked them, but it was like we said this was the criteria,
Oh yeah.
and
How did that?
Bruce Dickinson. When we did like you've got to give him like a 5 out of 5 on showmanship because he's running around. I mean, you see him with Trooper, he's got holding a freaking flag, running across, jumping and blah, and vocally he's stronger.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Okay, now I'm recalling. It's all coming back to me. But anyway,
probably is a better front man than
I don't know.
Anyway,
But David Lee Roth is a great frontman. Yeah, I don't think he's a great singer. He's a great performer, yes. But I honestly, this episode, I'll be very honest with y'all. I don't really have a dog in the fight, so I can cause all kinds of chaos. I just don't listen to a lot of Van Halen. I think like in the songs that I knew prior to this, every time we do one of these dedicated artist episodes, I learn a lot of new stuff, and I usually gain a whole new appreciation. I'm like, man, this group is even better than I thought. I still really don't care in this case. But I didn't even know 9 Van Halen songs. I'm serious. Now, hold on. Not that the originals. Like, if we had included, like, the covers, like, some of their biggest songs, right, are covers from the David Lee Roth years. But, like, I might have made it to 9 at that point. Every single song that I drafted today, I did not know prior to this because I just don't listen to Van Halen. Yeah. But anyway, so where I stand on it will become clear. So, but anyway, so Sammy Hagar said about this song in the lyrics. He said, the lyrics for Right Now were the best he ever wrote for a Van Halen song. He said, I was tired of writing cheap sex songs. And he said, Eddie and I wanted to get serious and talk about world issues. And so the video was also used to make like...
Yeah, that video is powerful. The video is great. I think that the lyrics probably get overshadowed.
And he was mad about that.
A bit by the video.
Yeah. And... To what?
It's like
Pepsi
Clear or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I think in the video, is it this video that there's like there's footage of him like slamming a door or something like that, and I think it was that one.
In this video,
he literally, it's like what words flashing.
Yeah, like
so,
right now, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's footage of him like throwing something, and there's footage of him slamming a door, and like they said those things were not dramatized. Like he actually was mad, and he didn't want to do the video the way it was. And maybe maybe he's a diva like that. I don't know. You can tell me, you're the Van Halen historian.
I don't enjoy his personality either, but what bothers me about him in general is that I just don't think. I think he's screamy, and I think he doesn't quite get up to the pitch a lot of times. And his voice, bothers me in a different. I can see why David Lee Roth's voice would bother people. I get it because that vibrato is big and pretty manufactured.
Yeah.
But Hagar's voice bothers me for a different reason. It sounds like his vocal cords are just kind of like snap and roll up like a window shade. He just sounds like he's struggling. Yeah, they do kind of sound the same.
No, he doesn't sound like Chad Kroeger.
Anyway,
but
but go ahead.
So, yeah, that's what I have on this song.
It's a good song. I mean, it's a good polished. It's a good. He said that. It's a good song.
It's a good polished song. It's not really rock and roll because it's not raw.
In a lot of ways, too, in a lot of ways, Sammy Hagar is his own worst enemy when it comes to public relations. You know, because he has absolutely nothing kind to say about David Lee Roth. And if you're trying to endear yourself to
your
Van
fan
Halen
base,
fans, then you should, just say, well, it didn't work out for whatever reason. I appreciate it. But, he does not.
He doesn't have much nice to say about anybody.
Yeah,
he has a show on Sirius radio. I mean,
he looks kind of like Guy Fieri.
He kind of does.
I wonder if he can cook.
he can make tequila,
Oh, does he have his own line of tequila?
rum, and rum. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a good song. I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's my pick, Ben.
My pick. Okay, so here's the dirty truth about Van Halen.
Uh-oh.
The dirty truth about Van Halen is that there's one guy in Van Halen that is 100% not irreplaceable. Is that the word? Irreplaceable?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
One that cannot be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the guitar player. They named the band after the guitar player and drummer,
And
sort
his
of.
brother.
But no,
Yeah.
mostly the guitar player. And there's one song that features Eddie Van Halen. And more or less only it. I mean, there is bass line and there are drums. But it's Eruption by Eddie Van Halen.
Dang.
He's pretty good.
You feel
Pretty
anything?
good. So this was recorded on the Frankenstrat, which we've talked about earlier. And here's what some people may not know about that recording. He did not know he was being recorded.
Really?
That's his warm-up. And they just so happened to be rolling the recording while he was in studio. So, folks, that's one take.
Yep.
And he was not even aware that he was being recorded at the time. It features altogether it's called tapping, which are the hammer-ons and the pull-offs. And and of course, this is off the debut album, the 1978 Van Halen album. The one-handed hammer-ons and pull-offs was somewhat standard, but he had gotten to where he was not strumming. He was both hands on the fretboard doing the hammer-ons and pull-offs. And apparently you can play really fast if you're good at it. And he is probably the best that there's ever been at doing that. So the question is, how good of a guitar solo is that? Guitar World calls it the second greatest guitar solo of all time. Rolling Stone calls it the sixth greatest guitar track of all time. And those are two very highly respected sources when it comes to rock music. What's interesting is like that echo, the way that he got that echo, it was going through a cheap echo unit called a Univox to get that low-end growl at the unit. And he put a different motor in the unit to give it a distinctive sound. And what we learned about Eddie later is that he oftentimes took apart his guitars and his equipment to create new sounds out of it. It is largely considered by almost everybody one of the greatest guitar solos of all time. Some people consider it the greatest guitar solo of all time. And in 2013, they polled, this was not the Guitar World magazine, but their editors, but in a poll in 2013, the readers selected Eruption to be the number one greatest guitar solo of all time. And so to me, the quintessential Van Halen song should represent the quintessential Van Halen band member, which is clearly Eddie Van Halen. And so that's why I've selected the song that was completely dedicated to Eddie Van Halen with my first pick.
He's already campaigning.
That's how we do.
Well, now you get another pick.
Oh, I do get another pick. Now I'm going to pick my favorite Van Halen song.
Okay.
Panama.
Even with the utter disrespect of making fun of David Lee Roth, please do it.
I love his
Please
talk.
do it.
Yeah, we're running a little bit hot tonight.
So gross.
I can barely see the road from the heat coming on.
Here we go. I love this. My favorite line.
Down between my legs. Ease the seat back. She's lying, I'm lying. Right behind it, but I was busy rhyming. Don't stop it now.
So this did rise to number 13 on the Billboard Top Hot 100. It got to number 2 on mainstream rock charts. It has been used in a plethora of pop culture opportunities, including Family Guy. It's on one of my favorite video games, Gran Turismo series, Gran Turismo 4. During the United States invasion of Panama, U.S. soldiers played this song repeatedly as a form of psychological warfare to get Noriega out of
I hope they
hiding.
went straight to that talking part.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so interesting. It's an interesting song because it's hard rock. Yes. It's glam rock. Yes. It's heavy metal. Yes. I mean, it kind of hits a lot of different genres. And during the bridge, you can hear the revving of a car. That is, not only do we hear Eddie Van Halen's guitar, but we also hear Eddie Van Halen's car. That's his Lamborghini that is revving in the background. And so here is the interesting fun fact.
It's time for a fun fact. Fun fact.
So there is a lot of speculation about what the song's about. Is it about... Well, we know what it's not about. it's not about Panama. It's not about the country Panama. But some people think that it may be about a car, and some people think that it may be about a stripper. David Lee Roth has come forward and settled the dispute about that. And so when he was on the Howard Stern show, there was an interviewer earlier, he was talking to Howard Stern, that an interviewer accused David Lee Roth of only writing lyrics about sex, drugs, and fast cars. And David Lee Roth realized at that moment, wait a minute, I've never actually written a song about a car. So he took issue with it. He's like, well, no, I haven't written a song about a car, so now I'm going to write a song about a car. So he wrote Panama. And then he later, after listening to his own song that he wrote that he thought was about a car, he realized actually the lyrics were inspired by a stripper he knew without realizing it. And so he was like, yeah, it's actually kind of both about a stripper and a car.
Oh my gosh.
That is a David Lee Roth story if I've ever heard a David Lee Roth story.
Yeah.
But to me, this is, I love Panama because it's just fun.
It is fun. It's summer.
It's just fun, and to me, that is like, and I'm sure, we've talked about it before, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again. The distinction between where they were with David Lee Roth and then where they go when they have Sammy Hagar, they're just fun with David Lee Roth. I mean, they are a blast. You don't have to worry about getting in your feelings. You don't have to worry about I'm going to hear a sad song. This song's a bummer. You don't have to worry about any of that. You're just going to let loose and have fun with David Lee Roth. Now, that's not very deep, and the lyrics are not very deep with David Lee Roth. I mean, you're not going to be sitting contemplating great philosophy either. With Sammy Hagar, the lyrics get a little bit more complicated, and I feel like they diversify more as a band, but they're not as fun. So it's a trade-off. No. It's a definite
He's
trade-off.
Diamond Dave.
It's a definite trade-off. But to me, Panama is just fun.
It's a fun song.
And it has always been my favorite Van Halen song. So now I don't get to pick for a while, so I will pass it on to the next pick, which I think is Beth.
It is me. Okay. So, another song from the Sammy Hagar years. This is Can't Stop Loving You, 1995.
Could you let it be? I wanna hold you and say we can throw this all away. Tell me you won't go, you have to hear me say I can't stop loving you. And no matter what I say or do, you know my heart is true. Oh, I can't stop loving you. You can change your friends.
So their producer had asked for a more pop-oriented song. So they came up with this. It pays homage to the Ray Charles song, I Can't Stop Loving You. And so the lyrics are, no matter what happens, no matter what changes or what obstacles we come, I can't stop loving you. Not I won't stop loving you. I don't even have a choice. I cannot stop loving you. So I'll always be there, that kind of thing. I just don't think David Lee Roth would have ever written that. It's just, I don't know. I realized, I guess, that I do like a selection of the earlier Van Halen songs, but I was looking at what are the better songs? We're talking about best Van Halen songs, and yeah, I think like just the lack of depth in the earlier stuff. I was like, well, I feel like song wise, I would say these are better songs. Would I sometimes pick the other ones to listen to just because I want to have fun background music going on? I want to dance. I want to shake my shoulders. Then I would probably pull up something like Panama. Yeah, and I don't have a lot to say about these. I just like them. I think.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't.
Well, it's kind of like you're going from. This is going to sound really bad. It's kind of like you're going from. This is too dramatic, and I understand this is hyperbole. I understand. It's kind of like you're going from Shel Silverstein to Langston Hughes. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just you're going from this like childlike, let's have fun, where the sidewalk ends,
Yeah.
to the Harlem Renaissance.
Yeah.
That's a strange comparison.
Don't know that I would
To put it in literary terms.
equate.
Yeah. Okay. So and that's why I say it's hyperbole.
Yeah,
Like,
but I see
we-
what you're saying.
Yeah,
we don't
I mean-
start making like these lyrical. It's not like Van Halen makes this huge,
Yeah.
massive leap towards philosophical nuggets
Right.
of wisdom.
But comparatively-
during the Sammy Hagar. But yeah, I mean it is.
Eh.
Oh, I mean, I think that David Lee Roth absolutely could stop loving you. You know?
Well, he probably never started loving you
Possibly.
because he loves himself.
He
too
does
much.
love him some.
But
David Lee
confidence
Roth.
is key in
It
this
is.
world.
It is. And if you watch his videos, especially, like no, even when he's in the band, but he's a lot.
Yeah.
He's a lot.
Yep.
His
I
clothes
wonder
are
if
a
it
lot.
hurts his feelings though. If he heard what we were saying, would it hurt?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think he would
You don't
be.
think he would be bothered.
No, absolutely not. I think
You think it's that level of
he built a
egomania?
whole career
Yeah.
on being Diamond Dave.
Yeah.
I think he wants all of that.
But isn't he like an
attention.
EMT now?
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
He's out here saving lives, and we're disparaging this man.
I'm not.
Now I feel kind of bad.
No, and I don't think it is disparaging. I mean, there's something to be said for knowing what you do well and doing it. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, he had that whole
like-
persona. It's a persona.
Yeah.
It. Now, I think it probably bleeds. It seems to bleed over a bit into his everyday off
oh
stage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Self. So maybe his persona has become just his reality. I don't know, but I don't know.
That's an interesting psychological question. Hey, it was his sister that made those rockabye baby things?
Yes.
The rock songs, but now they make them into lullabies.
Oh.
Brilliant.
His sister created that. Brilliant business plan.
I know he lights the menorah,
The-
according to Adam Sandler.
yeah. Now I want to know. See, now I'm sitting here. I'm endeared to him again. But anyway, what was that? Oh, I
So does
didn't
the
even write
late
it down.
Dinah Shore.
Yeah. Well, that was an aside. I think Heather, it's your turn to pick.
So my next song is you just talked about how you like a good piano jam, good keyboard jam. So do we know what the first appearance of Eddie's keyboard playing was? It's in this next song. Do you know what it is?
No.
Do you know what it is?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
He wasn't even listening.
The first appearance of Eddie's keyboard playing.
The first appearance of his keyboard playing.
Jump?
That wouldn't be the first.
I don't know.
A lot of people think it's Jump. It's not Jump. It's this. It's and
this.
the Cradle Will
Oh.
the Cradle Will Rock from 1980. Women and Children First. That right there sounds like a guitar. It's not. It's a whirly electric piano, Wurlitzer electric piano played, run through a flanger, and then run through his Marshall amp. Sounds like a good guitar riff.
Well, they say it's kind of frightening how this younger generation swings. You know, it's more than just some new sensation. Well, the kid is into losing sleep, and he don't come home for half the week. You know, it's more than just an aggravation. And the cradle will rock. Yes, the cradle will rock. And I say rock crawl. Ooh, rock crawl.
Okay, so this is a perfect example to me. Like, is that the best rock vocal I've ever heard? No. But is he committed to just theatrics that you can hear just through the radio? You have no visual to go with that, and you can still see him just performing and just being so over the top. His vocal acrobatics are in fine form on this song. Eddie provides all these lead guitar blasts. Somebody is quoted as saying it has industrial strength rhythms. So, you know, that bass and that drums just driving the whole thing forward. And, you know, it's a tale as old as time. I mean, the kid who upsets his parents and all the old people in town because of his love for rock and roll. It's just big and it's odd, and I love it. And have you seen Junior's grades? I mean, it's just it's theatrical, but it's also it just has this weird. It's a weird song, kind of. It doesn't follow the Van Halen formula necessarily. Its structure is a little bit weird, and the vocals are a little strange, but I'm here for it. So that's my number 2.
You get back-to-back
Oh.
picks.
All right. So my number 3 from Van Halen, 1978. Ain't Talking About Love. I love it. Okay. So this is actually one of the few David Lee Roth songs that Sammy Hagar was willing to sing after he came into the band. Guitar World ranks this riff as the 5th best metal riff of all time. And it has been described as laying down the style and sentiment of what would become 80s hair metal. It's also been called their most heavy metal track. And that riff, those gang vocals, they do love a good gang vocal. They did it all the way through, even in the Sammy Hagar years. But always with that Michael Anthony harmony on top. That just makes it distinctly Van Halen. I would like to give a shout out to some of my oldest friends, John Parham and Bert Wilson and Scott Standridge and Steve Johnson, and Terry Delaney, who was a former bandmate of mine as well. Mad Hatter from the University of Arkansas in the early 90s. I do remember their cover of this being in their set list. So, sentimental favorite.
So Van Halen's influence, not only the Sunset Strip, but Dixon Street.
Correct. Correct.
Far-reaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is just it's a fun song, and it is very, you can definitely see the template for hair metal, for 80s hair bands. Just that really riffy, and then, the solo's amazing. So, that's my number 3.
Well,
All David Lee Roth songs on my list.
well, now allow me to round out my 3 Sammy Hagar songs.
It's like, will allow me to retort.
Right.
Something quite different from yours. This is Dreams from 1986.
You have the producers vote.
So Sammy Hagar said that this and Right Now are his favorite Van Halen songs, but if you really pushed him, Dreams would be his favorite. Billboard said that Eddie Van Halen's stinging guitar and Hagar's larynx abuse, as you, it's another way to say what
That's
you
fair.
said earlier. Yeah, proclaimed this item a bona fide hard rock, despite a suspiciously cheerful pop bounce.
It is very cheerful.
It is very cheerful. It like gives me that what's the song? The Greatest American Hero.
Believe it or not.
Yeah. It gives me that vibe.
I'm sure Van Halen loves
Yeah, I
to
bet
hear
they
that.
But anyway,
Eddie Van Halen is rolling in his grave right now.
yeah, it gives me sitcom theme song vibes. But Hagar does this with his solo band, but he'll do it acoustically and really slow it down and make it, more about the lyric. But I like all the, I love a little poppy time. It's a little jam, as I say. Yeah, so I just like it. I discovered that I think I really like the Sammy Hagar,
Yeah.
which I didn't know. I did not know. I had never listened to any of those until waiting for.
Isn't this the video with
This
the Blue
podcast.
Angels? Yeah.
Oh, so it's America. It's about American heroes. So yeah, Dreams, Benjamin.
All right, I get the last pick, and I would perhaps take a little issue with the idea that Ain't Talking About Love is their most heavy metal song. I would say that the song that I have selected is their most heavy metal song. It's Unchained.
One break coming up. Nothing stays the same.
I love that bass right there.
Nothing stays the same. Nothing stays the
So this was from 1981, Fair Warning album, and this surprised me a little bit. According to the Rolling Stone readership poll, this landed at number 1 on their favorite Van Halen songs. And this was 2011, so this wasn't like it was fresh on the brain in 1981 or 82. Very, very highly thought of among Van Halen fans. And it has a lot of that little Diamond Dave talking in the interludes and the, just kind of playing around. And he takes a couple of shots at some of the high brass that were in the, producing. If you're wondering, come on. There's, in fact, so much so that Ted Templeton has a vocal contribution when he says, "Come on, Dave, give me a break," because Dave's giving him such a hard time. But, this is when, he's talking about that suit is you. He's just giving these guys a hard time. And so finally he gets on the mic and says, "Dave, give me a break." And I just think that those harmonies are just quintessential Van Halen.
Yeah.
And so we talk all the time about when people talk about Van Halen, there's going to be the debate between Sammy Hagar and David Lee Roth, and there's going to be the virtuoso-ness of Eddie Van Halen. But I'm not going to say that they are as whatever, like Beach Boy harmonies are iconic. They are, in a sense, very much a Van Halen staple of the way that they use their harmony. It's almost like there's a dissonance to it, but at the same time, it works in a way that they don't really work for anybody else. I mean, you got to be very careful when you deal with dissonance, but Van Halen uses it a lot with their harmonies, and it's really evident in Unchained because, that chained, I mean, it's like, and then those levels there, it's, you just don't know how it works, but it does work.
There are a few bands. Van Halen is one of them. Alice in Chains is another where the Beach Boys are another where their harmony structure is so unique to their members and to them. I don't think that element of their sound can be overstated.
And the last thing that I would say about this is, would we all agree, before I say this comment,
Probably not.
would we all agree that Wolfgang Van Halen knows what he's talking about when it comes to Van Halen? Would we agree that he is somewhat of an expert on the band Van Halen? Would we agree with that statement?
I'm not agreeing
You're
to
not
anything.
going to agree that Wolfgang Van Halen is an expert on Van Halen?
What did he say about it?
He said that Unchained is the definitive song from the David Lee Roth era.
It's a good song.
That's pretty high praise
It is high praise.
from a Van Halen. Like, not somebody that was just in the band, but like his last name is really Van Halen. So, and Eddie's son probably knows something about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have 9 songs now, correct?
Correct.
What are they?
Ben drafted Eruption, Panama, and Unchained. Heather drafted Running with the Devil and The Cradle Will Rock, Ain't Talking About Love. And I drafted Right Now, Can't Stop Loving You, and Dreams.
What's that look for, Heather?
All 3 of your songs are from the David Lee Roth era.
I never said that Sammy Hagar was better. I never said, let me preface that. I have said that Sammy Hagar was a better vocalist. But I never said that the Sammy Hagar songs were better than the David Lee Roth songs.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm like, can you name 6 Iron Maiden songs right now? Go.
Yes, I can.
As he Googled.
No. No, sir. No.
Oh, man. Well,
Yes, I probably can.
Okay. I'm not even going to ask you to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
I don't have
I'm not going
any-
to put
I
you on the
don't-
spot like that.
I
but-
don't have any Iron Maiden albums. I'll be honest with you about that. But that's really not that's your fault.
Why is it my fault?
Because you didn't listen to him that much.
No, not much. Not especially not in high school and stuff.
But I will say, like, and I did not, and in full disclosure, I did not listen to Iron Maiden much at all until we did the episode on frontmen.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I listened to, like, Trooper and Number of the Beast, Run of the Hills, and it's like, this dude's amazing. And so, like, he went from not on my radar, Bruce Dickinson went from not on my radar to this guy's top 5 all time. because I watched live performances of Iron Maiden on YouTube, and it blew me away. It blew me away, 100%. But there was a question in there. We were talking about, I don't know. Anyway, point is, I don't even know where we were going with it, other than
Now we have our 9 songs.
we have our 9 songs. But I think it was, I never made the statement that I thought the Sammy Hagar era was better. I mean, I enjoy the fun Van Halen more than I prefer the serious Van Halen.
Yeah, I'm not talking about your lack of David Lee Roth versus Sammy Hagar. I'm just talking about all of your just all of your choices being David Lee Roth for someone who does not give him the
Well, to be-
respect
to be-
that he is due.
To be fair, David Lee Roth had absolutely zero to do with Eruption. Unless he's playing the maracas.
well, except for for Eruption, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Right.
But anyway,
all right.
we have 9 songs.
Taking
We
a pause.
read them, right?
Yeah, we did.
So now we're going to go from 9
No,
to
we're
5.
not. We're going to talk about what we didn't pick.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What'd you pick, Beth?
okay.
Yeah.
I picked,
Or didn't make it?
that did not get drafted. Why Can't This Be Love, Jump, and Dance the Night Away.
Okay. So, yeah, I had Why Can't This Be Love as one of my songs. See there?
Okay.
There's a Sammy Hagar song. And then Pound Cake, which is another Sammy
Yeah.
Hagar song.
I had that didn't get drafted. Because I had Unchained. Jamie's Crying. Ice Cream Man. I love that song. I love it.
So,
I don't apologize. Beautiful Girls and Mean Streets. What?
So you mean to tell me, now, you did that on purpose?
No, honest to goodness, I did not.
You didn't have a single Sammy Hagar
didn't.
song in your top 9?
I don't like Sammy Hagar's voice, and there's plenty of songs that I didn't even put their covers on here because they're covers. I didn't know what to do with Eruption. So it's not that I don't think it's great, and it's not that I don't think that it deserves to be top 5. I just didn't put it in mine because I have enough songs, and that's not even all of them. I have enough songs of David Lee Roth that they all go in front of the Sammy Hagar songs. I don't like that era as much of Van Halen. I did not do that on purpose.
One Sammy Hagar song in your top 9.
There's not one. If I were gonna put one, it would probably be Finish What You Started.
And where would that be? 10?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, there are other David Lee Roth songs that would go in front of any Sammy Hagar song. It's just a preference. I don't like his voice.
So you think David Lee Roth's voice is better than Sammy Hagar's voice?
I prefer his tone, and I prefer his performance and his over the top way about him. Yes, more than I like. Sammy Hagar is too screamy for me, and he doesn't always get up to the pitch, and that gets on my nerves. And you can ask the producer. I'm consistent in that, right? I mean, I've never liked Sammy Hagar stuff.
So we've got 9 songs. And now, I don't think I'm jumping the gun now. We're going from 9 songs to 5.
Working 9 to 5.
Dang.
Man, I can't.
Terrible.
I think I'm taking the key different on you a little bit every time. That's my bad.
Okay, so we have our 9 songs, trying to get it down to 5. And so, any suggestions on how to do this? Because I have a feeling that our lists are going to be a little bit all over the place to some degree. Because, like, I got my top 3 songs. My top 3 were Eruption, Panama, and Unchained.
I got 1, 2, and 4.
I also got 1, 2, and 4. I had Eruption at number 3.
You had Eruption at number 3. What was your number 3 that you did?
Panama.
You had Panama. Panama on your list at all?
Yeah. 7.
7. Where was Eruption on yours?
I like I said.
You left. Eruption was not on yours.
Yes,
because you
but-
didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. So but I have no problem with whatever y'all want to do with Eruption. So, because it's iconic. So.
Okay, so Running with the Devil was the first overall pick. I had them in my top 5. They were number 5. Did you have Running with the Devil in your list?
I had it at 8.
At 8. Okay. Right Now, Beth's first pick. I had Right Now at number 4. That was my number 4. We know that you did not have any Sammy Hagar songs in your top 9. And then Eruption was on 2 of our list. You had it number
3.
Number 3. And so we may need you to make a decision about
I'm
Eruption
fine with moving it over.
into the top 5.
Yes.
Okay. And then Panama, I had 2. You had Panama 3, and you had Panama
7. But I
7.
really like it. Except for that one part in the middle.
Reach down between my legs.
So gross. So gross.
Ease the seat back. I love the pause right there, like he's making you think, what you doing with that hand between your legs right there, Diamond Dave? What you doing with that hand?
Pretty sure that's
you're
exactly
easing,
what he meant.
you're easing the seat back. Okay.
Never mind.
Can't Stop Loving You. I did not have Can't Stop Loving You. In the Cradle, I did not have In the Cradle Will Rock. Did not have Dreams. Ain't Talking About Love. I did have Ain't Talking About Love number 7. So, I feel like the odds are we all had Running with 2 of us had Running with the Devil in the top 5. You had it number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I had it number, and you said 7?
8.
8. I feel like when we run the numbers, that one's probably going over.
Yeah.
Musicless math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the question is going to be, because we had 2 of us have Right Now in the top 5, and Heather is so opposed to Sammy Hagar. She has no Sammy Hagar songs in her top 9. So what are you going to do?
Well, she's outnumbered.
I'm not going to do anything with it. I mean, if y'all want to.
Oh my word!
No, I mean,
you've got to acquiesce at least one Hagar song, right?
do I? Wow. Let's see what else we got. Let's.
Well,
And if I were going to put a Sammy Hagar song over, in my opinion, it wouldn't be that one anyway.
well, would it be Dreams or Can't Stop Loving You?
Dreams.
Okay. What about Panama? Well, I say Panama because I had it.
I had it 3.
I had it number 2. You had it 3, and you
I
had
had
it.
it 7, and I like that song. I would be fine.
And I feel like when we run the numbers, it's probably going to go over. When we crunch numbers in our great computer, our great Van Halen computer. So we need 2 more songs. And this is probably where it's going to get a little dicey. I mean, I feel like right now it's got to go over.
I think so too.
I mean, because like number one, I feel like we have to have at least one Sammy Hagar song.
Heather's eyes just got really big. Like, no, we don't. But you had
And I had
No,
it,
I mean,
had
number
it,
3.
and I had it number 4. I had it
4.
it was-
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So now we've got one song left that we need to get in.
Hey, this is happening quickly. Rock on. Okay.
Rock on.
Ew. Ew.
And I see. There we go. Okay. Well, that played well. You did good, Beth. I don't even know if you knew what you were doing.
I had no clue. Like, I'm assuming. I still don't even really know.
Actually, props go to us.
I'm assuming that's a David Lee Roth moment.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
That was in Unchained.
No, in the cradle.
In the credit, yeah.
We'll ride.
Yeah. Yeah, and I said rock on. Oh, fantastic.
So what's left?
Okay, so the songs that are left, if
Well,
I'm,
Heather said she picked Dreams, so let's just put that one.
No, wait a second. We've already got
the songs that are left are
Unchained and The Cradle Will Rock. Ain't Talking About Love. Can't Stop Loving You. Dreams.
Ain't Talking About Love is my number 7. Obviously, Unchained is my number 3. And it's Wolfgang's number 1 of the David Lee Roth era.
Wolfgang doesn't get a vote.
Just saying he knows what he's talking about. I'm just saying he's kind of an expert. I did not have In the Cradle Will Rock in my top 9. I did not have Dreams in my top 9.
Did you have Ain't Talking About Love?
I did. That was number 7 for me.
Interesting. Unchained was number 7 for me.
And I really like Why Can't This Be Love, but it didn't get drafted.
That's too bad. I could put it. It's on my, it's on my list.
Yeah, like if it had been Why Can't This Be Love instead of Dreams, we may be having a different conversation. Because I really do like that song. If you could cut one, Beth, if you could cut one, what would you cut?
Ask somebody else.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I would cut And the Cradle Will Rock. Never been a big fan.
Ooh.
That would be the one that I cut. What would you cut?
What's left?
Unchained and The Cradle Will Rock. Ain't Talking About Love. Can't Stop Loving You in Dreams.
Can't Stop Loving You.
So now we have selected each. Which one would you cut?
Can I be brutally honest?
Yep.
I don't care. Like, I can't. I
was getting ready for her to cut one of mine. I was like,
no, I don't have a feeling strong enough to.
we got to move one song over. We just got one spot left.
Yeah.
Is is Ain't Talking About Love the only one that's on 2 lists?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I think it is.
Okay.
To me, that's enough to move it over.
That's
Maybe
fair. We did it. Well, we have to rank them.
we got to rank them.
Okay. So let's do this. Eruption, Running with the Devil, Panama, Right Now, Ain't Talking About Love.
What would you like to see first?
Running with the Devil.
Oh yeah, I would like to see Eruption first. Beth, what would you like to see first?
I mean, I'm not going to get Right Now there. So, Eruption was my next highest one that's listed there. Yeah. So I would like the top 3 to be between Eruption, Right Now, and Panama. That's my preference on what we have here.
I don't like that at all.
I didn't say in that order.
I don't like that top 3.
Oh, well, I just it. You know that meme where that lady's yelling, "That's my iPad."
Yeah,
That's what it's.
yeah.
So where are you on Eruption being in the top 3?
I'm fine with it being in the top 3.
And you're fine with Panama being in the top 3. You're not fine
Yes.
with Right Now being in the top 3.
Correct. And I'm not okay with Running with the Devil not being in the top 3. It needs to be in the top 3. Here's my issue with Eruption. It's why I didn't know what to do. There's no strictly because there's no doubt that Eddie Van Halen is in large part Van Halen. I get that. But there's no other instrumentation and there's
bass and guitar.
There's no-
there's bass and drums. There's no vocals.
in Eruption. I don't hear I mean I need to take another listen. I don't hear any bass and drums. I could be wrong and just was so focused on the guitar part but I don't remember there being bass and that's why I didn't know what to do with it.
Maybe there's not.
I mean, it's an iconic piece of work, but as far as songs by the band, that's why I don't think it deserves to be number 1. I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve to be on the
It's
list.
like it's listed as a guitar solo, but
Can you play it?
but
again?
on the personnel it says Eddie Van Halen, electric guitar, Michael Anthony bass.
well,
Alice
because
Cooper.
in most of the time when you hear it, it goes into "You Really Got Me."
But why does it not say vocals David Lee Roth?
I don't know. I mean, can you play? Yeah, I mean, we can just
Unless
listen.
it's that
There are
that-
two. There
that-
are
unless
a
it's
couple
that-
of versions.
Unless it's that transition. There's bass, bomb.
And drum cymbals.
I don't.
That's where it is. Yeah, it's not much.
I mean,
Boom. There's more bass. It's mostly guitar.
right. So I don't. That's why I don't think it should be number 1. And we have cut other songs in other categories for less.
Those were other songs in other categories. This is a Van Halen category.
I get that, but that is
So what
by
I'm
and
hearing,
large an Eddie Van Halen solo.
what I'm hearing is that there's too much Van Halen in the Van Halen song.
Oh my God!
That's what I'm hearing.
No, there's not
That's
enough
what I'm
of it.
hearing.
No, there's not
there's
enough.
too much Eddie Van Halen
No,
in
there's
the Van Halen
nope.
song.
There's not enough of everybody else.
So there's too much of one.
No. No, that's not what I said. I said there's
too
not
much-
enough.
Too big of a percentage of the song is
one
Eddie Van Halen.
person.
It's the guy that is named Van Halen. Okay. I just want to make sure I understood the argument.
I see what you're trying to do, and I'm not having it.
Well, I would say that Eruption should be one in Panama too.
I'll agree with you if you'll put Right Now at number 3 with me.
And now the deal.
That is
Begin.
so dumb. And
Those are the top 3 I wanted anyway. So
That
why
is-
do I care about the order? That's the top 3 I wanted.
Here's where you're going to be upset, Heather. Is I had Right Now ahead of Running with the Devil.
well, that's
I had.
also a mistake.
I know you don't agree, but dim's the way to apples fell.
Here's the deal. And I mean, y'all are both laughing, and you know that y'all are going to sit there and make this a numbers game and just try to piss Heather off because it's a Van Halen
that's
category.
literally the way we already had them.
It's not a numbers game. It's the number line. 4 comes before 5, and I had Right Now on number 4, and I had Running with the Devil number 5.
It's not about pissing you off. It's
I
fun.
did not change my list.
It's just funny that we always happen to piss you off when it comes to Van Halen.
That's fine. Everyone has come to expect it at this point. So
That's the shtick.
that's
what we do.
that is what we do. So I mean, if you're,
If I'm,
I'm outvoted as
it
usual.
appears that way.
But that is a messed up list. But
So what's the order of our messed up list? What I don't remember what the top 2 were in order.
Oh, so
It was Eruption and Panama. I can't remember what order.
well.
I mean, I had Eruption higher than
I would
Panama.
like Eruption 1 in Panama too. That's the way I voted it. I put them in.
Well, I mean, I had Eruption at number 3 and Panama at 7. So
Oh.
I would
You
clearly
would
put Eruption
in.
higher.
Okay. And then I'm just looking at my list. I had Right Now before Running with. I had Running with the Devil 5 and Right Now 4.
that's fine. Put your Pepsi commercial there, right there on the in the top 3.
Hey, you remember when she got really mad because we weren't giving Eddie Van Halen the respect he deserved or whatever in the guitarist episode? And now we want to put basically feature Eddie Van Halen in the number 1 spot of this episode. And now that's not good enough. This is so funny.
We need to get it together
Sorry.
right now.
Oh. Sorry. So it was Eruption. Hey, she said you're number 1.
She wants to put Eruption number 1. That's
Good
what I'm
deal.
getting out of that.
3 for 3. So then you would rather Panama be in 2?
I would.
Oh yeah, you drafted
yeah,
it.
for sure.
Okay.
And then Right Now 3, Running with the Devil 4, and then what's 5?
Ain't Talking About Love.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So sorry.
What's she so upset about?
It's so stupid.
What's
It's a terrible top 5 ranking.
You have
You got 2 songs in
you
there.
got 2 in the top. You got your 40% of the top 5.
And where'd you have Panama?
3.
In your top 5?
Original, yeah. I don't mind Panama being in the top 5.
And you don't mind Eruption being in the top 3. You just don't want it number 1.
I don't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear the
Hey, we've got a top 5.
final ranking? All right. We have done it. The final ranking. The best. Sorry, hold on. I got to get it together. I can't look at you, Ben. Sorry. And his face is red. Boy. Okay. The final ranking. The best Van Halen songs, according to the music list. Number 1.
Wait, no.
According to the music list,
2 of the people
asterisk
in the music list.
minus Heather.
Right.
Final ranking. Number 1, Eruption. 2, Panama. 3, Right Now. 4, Running with the Devil. 5, Ain't Talking About Love.
It's a list.
Now, you know full well that if Running with the Devil had been 1, if you just switched Running with the Devil and Eruption, you would be ecstatic right now.
Yeah, that'd be huge if Running with the Devils won.
So it's not that it's a bad list. You disagree with where the placement of one song is.
Well, no, that would displace others. No, I would rearrange that list entirely.
Well, it's a democracy.
Yeah,
So
such as it is. So
Hey, and in 2 weeks, we're going to celebrate our democracy with our episode.
Oh, that's right. We've got a Independence Day, July 4th extravaganza. Red, white, and blue extravaganza.
Yeah, that's right.
2 weeks. I'm looking forward to that one.
Me too.
But hey, we would like for everyone to find us again on social media. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. The TikToks, apparently. And YouTube. Find us, subscribe, share with a friend. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
My least favorite Van Halen song. Period.
Thanks for joining us on the Music List podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
She almost had it.